Hello, my name is Dulce Chacon. I am a Mexican artist living and working in Mexico City. And today I want to welcome you to my studio that is here in my house. So happily for me, this COVID-19 situation doesn't change too much my way to work. So, talking a little bit more about my work, I am interested in the photographic image and the way it travels through media, and with time deposit itself on magazines or books and or newspapers. Also, I am very interested in the transformation to this photographic image to the drawing and the processes related to this operation, such as interpretation, allegory, or illustration. The images that I work with are those that usually came from traumatic events, because those are that shape the collective memory of a society. So my main source for looking images is internet. So when I start a project, I usually go to internet and start looking for more images and dates and things about the news, and then eventually this news leads me to a library to searching more and going deeply. I have been working in build graphic narratives and sequences with drawings, and sometimes do installations with it. Today I want to show you some of my work, but I want to speak to you of one important element in the practice of drawing, which is the paper. Besides other materials such as ink, watercolor, pencils or pens, paper have a very important role in the practice of drawing. So I want to show you through my work some examples of how can we work, or why is important the paper. So I will change my view to do that. Well, here you can see a drawing made that I did last year, and is from a project called Things That Fall from the Sky. And this project is focused on different things that fall from the sky inside or around Mexico City. So this image came from a news that is reporting an accident on a runway in Mexico City's airport in the 70s. And as you can see, it was a huge accident. Unfortunately, there were a lot of deaths. So, for making this drawing, I need to use this paper without texture, very flat, because I need to get these straight lines. So if you have a paper that have a lot of texture, you will have another different results. But it depending also of the media you are working with. For example, this is a drawing made with ink on paper, and if you use wet materials, you need to use a thicker paper. Usually when you work with watercolor or ink, you need to use paper made with cotton because it has more resistance, and as you can see, you have texture here, and the texture helps you to get different tones, such as here, and these accidents made with water gives you different textures, visual textures too. So this is another drawing from the same, from last year, from the same project, Things That Fall from the Sky. So basically this guy is showing how a meteorite impact on his car and passing through it and arriving to the Earth. So in this paper there is a different kind of texture, and as you can see, one paper is whiter and another one is a little bit more yellow. So as I said, it depends on the results you want to have, the paper you have to use with wet materials and with different brushes. Well, this is another example of the use of wet materials. In this case, it's ink on Japanese paper. And at the first sight, it seems like there is no texture, but with the use of water and or a dry brush, you can see the different textures that the paper has. With the use of more ink, you can see the accidents and the different tones you can get with the material. Here we have another example with Japanese paper, but here we have a thinner paper. So what happened when you use a thinner paper with a lot of water is that appear some wrinkles. You can see it here. So these wrinkles could look very attractive, at least for me, I like it. And also with the use of water, you can see different tonalities, all these accidents. You can use ink with different colors too. And I think this is very interesting result. Well, this is another, this is an experimentation I did for a project that I did in 2018. It was a project that it was presented in the Manila Biennial. And in this project, I wanted to talk about the relation that have during more or less 250 years the two ports, two cities. In Mexico is the port of Acapulco, and in Philippines is the port of Manila. Those ports were connected in an epoch because they were colonies of Spain. And as a colonies, they have an interconnection made with the Manila galleon, that it was a huge ship that travels in between the two ports to buy merchandise and later to travel from Manila to Mexico and then to Europe. So with the use of these materials, I wanted to speak about the new materials that the Western world discovered and that was out of his way of thinking the world, that it was confronted by the discovery of America. So this is also a thinner paper. As you can see, it's very transparent and very delicate. That's why you have to take care of it. And I use here a thinner brush, so that is why I have these straight and controlled lines. And I use here Mexican cochineal ink. This ink is made with basically with an insect. In the south of Mexico there are some farms and you can buy in the farms the insect, the dry insect that is here. You can see it. Basically, it's an insect that gives you this color, and you can use it with ink, watercolor, or even with oil. This colorant, natural colorant, gives you this color in between violet and pinks, it depending of the quantity of water you add to your work. This is a different example of the use of wet materials, but in a different kind of paper. This is a handmade paper made with the fiber of a tree that grows here in Mexico, and that tree has the same name of the paper, that is amate. Here I did this experimentation with blueprint because I wanted to see the different tones you can get and how it works with the texture, the natural texture that the paper has. So I really like all these accidents I get and the different tones in the blues. Well, this paper comes in the two natural colors that the tree have, which are this white one that is in between white and yellow, and this brown one. In fact, this brown is very flat, the surface is very flat, but you have a lot of visual textures because you can see basically all the fibers, and look that veins. Okay, on the back of the paper you have more texture. And well, maybe the problem with the use of these papers is that as they are not made in an industrial way, you have different qualities and thickness of the paper, so because of the fiber it can be very, very delicate and maybe doesn't live a long time as the industrial papers normally do. Well, here we have another handmade paper made also with the fibers of another tree, but in this case this tree grows in Bhutan, in Asia. So it has also this yellow color, and usually, well, this paper I found it on internet, and it is paint. Well, this is the back of the paper, and on the front they sell this paper painted with black soil. You can see here the black soil, and with this black soil the people in Bhutan used to paint their houses. So what I did with this paper is paint these images that were taken from some pictures about the fires that happened in the woods in the beginning of 2017 in Chile. And these huge fires were originated by the monocultures, growing only a single species of trees, and also because of the climate change. So sometimes these monocultures are a single species of trees that were used in the paper industry. So I wanted to speak through the use of this material, in specific of the paper, about this problematic of the lack of biodiversity in an ecosystem that is very dangerous. As you can see here, the black soil doesn't cover totally the paper, so I can have these textures of the natural color of the fiber. So this helps me to have like more vibration in the image. These images were made with white wash, and also what I wanted to do with this project is to drawing or painting the light of the fire. Finally, I want to show you this paper that also is a handmade paper, but in this case it was made with the fiber of agave plant, and as you can see it's a little bit yellow with some spots, and on the back of the paper we can see more texture and the huge fibers of the plant. This paper leads me to show you this part of one big piece that I've been working on. At the beginning of this year, I traveled to the south of Mexico, to the town of San Cristobal de las Casas, to do a research about the biodiversity of the place, that because of their geographic characteristics, there are a lot of plants that usually are not together. So the people of the different towns in that zone knows the importance of these all these plants, because they are not only using them for food, but also because those are very important as a natural colorants, and also because it has a very important role in their rituals. So the biodiversity in this place is very important, but also with the climate change is very delicate. I choose this black paper because it reminds me to the skirts that the girls of this town, San Juan Chamula, wear, that are very, very black, very hairy, because they took the skin of the goats. And this paper reminds me also to these skirts that the girls used. So as you can see, the paper is very, very textured with a lot of fibers. So it was a little bit difficult to paint with the whitewash on it. And also this paper, it was made with the agave fiber, but also with the fiber of the banana tree. So, well, I want to show you the whole piece, but that will be digitally because the piece is huge. Basically, the piece is a huge landscapes. It's a landscape full of plants, different kind of plants, all the plants that I saw in the different places that I visited. For example, here is this flower that is very important. It's the cempasúchil flower, which is a little orange flower that is widely used in all Mexico to the festivities and for the offerings in the altars in the Day of the Dead in November in Mexico. So basically there are a lot of plants with many medicinal uses. Here we have a banana. And well, for me it was important to show you the important role of the paper and for some materials in my work, because those help me to speak about my ideas and support the concept of the work. This is the part, here is the part that I showed you before, so you can see the measurement of the whole piece. Well, to finish my participation today, I want to show you an initiative in which I've been involved since a year ago, and it's basically a coloring book, and this coloring book was made for the people that goes to this drawing study group we had every Tuesday, and that with this COVID situation we couldn't following. So to try to continue our activities, what we did was working on this coloring book. Each one of the members of the group sent a drawing. So this first book was made, well, this is my drawing, that it has a relation with the last project that I showed you before. So each one of us sent these drawings, and we did this document to share. And then we work with the volume 2. So we decided that in this volume 2 we need to invite more people. This is my second participation. So these both coloring books, you can download them in this website here, and you can download them for free. So there are these three, these are the coloring books, volume 1, volume 2, and these one are instructions for making a drawing, but the thing is that instructions are in Spanish. But the instructions are very, very fun. Okay, well, I want to show you the original drawing that I did for this coloring book. And I want to show you this to finish my participation, to talk about how you can do your own coloring book in your house. So basically what you need to do is to have this white paper and choose some photograph in your computer or in one screen you have, and basically what you need is to put your white paper on it. It's better when you do it by night, because this way you will have only the light of the screen, and then you can start to tracing with one of these pens, maybe a Sharpie, and with a Sharpie you can start to tracing all the lines you want that your drawing have. So it's very easy to do it, and you don't need to copy exactly everything that you have in your picture. You can start mixing several pictures with people, with plants, with landscapes, etc. So, well, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you, the Bakehouse, for organizing this, and hope you enjoy the other participations of my fellow residents in Lair Art. Thank you.